Nathan is not here. Austin, start us off.
Hey, as you've watched, maybe you haven't. There've been some games around the country where it seems like tackling has been an issue. You guys just got the pads on now. I wonder if you guys have changed anything or emphasizing tackling any differently. After such a long layoff where you guys didn't have a chance to go full contact in March.
Yeah, that's a great point that you made there, and it is something that we emphasize. We emphasize it every year. I mean, it's something we obviously have to do a good job of, but it is the challenge when you don't have the pads on. But we've got to, we've kind of put our brains together and found creative ways to still, get as close to what a real tackle would be like throughout our drills and throughout our practice. And so, yeah, that is going to be a critical piece. But, fortunate for us, I think our guys, the majority of our guys have played a lot of football. It's one of those things that if they approach it like a pro, you have an opportunity to hit the ground running. But it's definitely a focus every day we're out there.
When you talk about some of those techniques, and we've heard some other coaches talk about that in the past, the things that you can do to simulate for a linebacker that is so reliant on making a tackle, what are those things that you emphasize specifically to get that done?
Well, number one is your eyes. We talk about eyes up. The number one things guys do is they to drop their eyes. When you drop your eyes, obviously now you put yourself in a situation where your head goes down and you're not able to secure the tackle. The other thing, so we hit that. The other thing we talk about is our feet. And track it. We talk about putting a near foot in the ground. And so again, like that's a critical piece too. When you watch guys who miss tackles, usually their legs die or usually they're out of a power base. So those are things that really impact tackles. None of those have anything to do with contact. So those are some starting points fundamentally. And then once contact's made, we talk about, uppercutting, squeezing, driving your legs post-contact. Those things are tougher to simulate, but you can do it. You can find ways to do it, with pads and things like that. But those are the major components, major fundamentals that we attack and that are very important to tackle.
All right, we'll go to Nathan Baird with Cleveland.com. Bill Rabinowitz on deck. Nathan. All right, Bill, you're up.
Hi, Al. I'm sure you were asked this in the spring, but it still bears being asked again. You've got, a very deep linebacker group. How do you envision this playing out? I mean, you got 4 guys who are seniors, and most of them are graduates, plus a bunch of talented younger guys pushing their way. How are you going to try to balance finding playing time for everybody?
Well, you just give people roles. So our mindset hasn't changed. We have, you have to give the player a role, a focus, and give them the opportunity to exercise that. So we are a deep group, but we're going to need this year in particular. We're going to need more than just 3 or 4. We have to throughout the year develop. And because you never know what could happen with this whole situation we're in. So everybody has a role. Everybody's engaged. And that's something that I feel like this time period has really brought us closer in the sense of everybody's kind of, they feel like they matter and everybody has an impact in their own way. So, our mentality going into the spring hasn't really, to now, it really hasn't changed much. Our goal is just to get better every day and when your number's called, be ready to play. We have some thoughts about how we want to use our guys and things like that, but I think our mentality has been all hands on deck.
And just how good do you feel about your group? And are there specific young players that you really feel are on the verge of breaking through?
Yeah. First, how do I feel about the group? I think this particular group of guys is one of the more special guys I've been around from the standpoint of leadership. This is one of the most adverse times a college athlete could ever have. And through that all, despite all that, they've, in my opinion, have found a way to make themselves better, found a way to get closer. So the character in the room is through the roof. I hold this group in high regard. I think they're extremely talented. And I think that, they have a determination. Our mentality this whole offseason is focused on improving, focused on, being the difference, making the difference. And so we've had a chip on our shoulder since the beginning of the year, and we still carry that. So we're a determined group. We're talented. Now we got to go out there and get the job done. Young guys, man, I tell you, the depth. You talk about the depth from guys like Taraja and Dallas who are doing unbelievably well. And they're not really young guys, but they are in a sense. But they're having a really strong camp, if you will, so far. But behind them, you got Kayvon Pope, you got Craig Young. Both of those guys have done an outstanding job. And the freshmen coming in, and I'm really excited about Cody Simon and Mitchell Melton. Both those kids, I think, are going to be special players. And they're both tough, they're both smart, and they both love football. So very excited about the youth of the program, the young guys, and they just got to have opportunities to get out there and play. When they get out there, they got to make the impact that they know that they want to make, and everything leading up to that, they've shown that they're capable. So I'm excited.
Sure. Thanks, Al.
Yeah.
All right, next up we'll go with Colin Hass-Hill from 11 Warriors with Bill Landis on deck. Colin.
Al, you talked about you want to find roles for all the players. And when I think about that, I think about those three juniors, Taraja, Dallas, and Kayvon, and what they might be able to offer. Can you sort of just go through each of them and say, like give us an idea of what you like that they can do, that they can impact games? Because, we've seen them, late in games, but maybe we haven't seen them early in games the way that, you want to play them this year. Yeah,
so I guess start with Dallas Gann. Dallas Gann is, he's a skilled inside backer. He has position flexibility. He can play Mike and Will for us. And so, he has his value for us is obviously to contribute meaningful minutes, but to be able to help us in different types of ways. Taraja Mitchell's an explosive player. We all seen that, and a very passionate player. And so, those types of guys, we can find ways to get them closer to the ball and attack the football and, try to play to their strengths. Kayvon Pope's very athletic in space, very instinctive. So, there's ways to utilize them. I don't want to get into too much of the detail of the scheme, but, just knowing their attributes, we have to do a good job of putting them in position to play to their strengths. So, that's kind of how we envision utilizing them this season.
What's the biggest reason that you guys feel like you can move Barron potentially away from Mike and have someone else fill in behind Tough?
Well, it's not so much the focus on Barron. Well, first off, Barron's athleticism. He can play inside. He can play outside. He can do a lot of different things. But it's more just looking at what we're trying to do on defense, playing to each guy's strength, and how we can be more creative. I think that's more of a focus on what we're trying to do better. What we're trying to figure out how to make more of an impact. So, Barron's still he's a linebacker for us. He'll be outside. He'll still be inside too. And so we don't really I don't really look at it that way. I just think of it more like, okay, how can we do better, man? How can we figure out a way to make more of an impact for everybody?
Next up, Bill Landis from The Athletic with Patrick Murphy on deck. Bill.
Hey, Al, but back in the spring before you guys got shut down, we were talking with you a little bit about Pete possibly playing some Will this year. Just wondering, maybe is he still kind of moving around a little bit? And what do you like about Pete's skill set potentially playing that Will linebacker spot?
Yeah, Pete's been doing a really good job at the Will position. Yeah, we do have him some other places based on the packages, but I think Pete, his skill set is he's a physical player. He's athletic, obviously. He's very bright and he's passionate. I think he has a chance to make an impact. I think he can be an impact player at the will position. So he's made strides. He's continuing to work his craft, but very excited about, Pete and this spot we're playing him at times.
And you're talking a lot about versatility and creativity, and you do have a lot of depth. Do you envision possibly being able to play sort of matchups more than maybe you were last year, depending on who you're playing week to week with kind of different personnel groupings? And if so, does that help you find those kind of roles you're talking about to make guys happy as you go through this season?
Bill, you kind of just answered it, man. That's exactly right. So, we do have that depth, and we have guys with a variety of different skill sets. So, yeah, we can match up better. We can, give guys roles, and we can, retain guys, in the sense of, guys aren't getting worn down. I think we can do all of that while playing great defense. And so that is exactly, what we would like to do and what we are planning and working towards.
All right, Patrick Murphy from 247 Sports is next with Tony Gerdeman on deck. Patrick.
Hey, Al, you sort of touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but when we talked to Coach Combs, talked to Coach Wilson, they both talked about the young players and not having them in pads yet, not seeing them. You have this veteran group we've already discussed. Knowing that you've seen them in pads plenty, you've seen them tackle, how does that not only make you more comfortable, but the defense as a whole better, especially knowing there's some new guys in front and some new guys behind them that'll have to work in?
Now, Patrick, is that you asking from a big picture or just focused on young guys?
Just guys, you have veteran guys. You know what to expect out of them, even though you haven't seen them in pads. How does that help the defense? Because you have new guys in the secondary, new guys on the D line that are still waiting to get in pads.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I mean, experience is always helpful, but to be honest, I mean, football is not football until there's pads. So, you can look good in rehearsal, but you got to go out there and play. And so, yeah, it's good to have a veteran group, but I don't think any coach feels good until they are able to get out there and commence to hitting. So, but we all work and trying to be creative and find ways to to compensate for that. But that's you can't get enough. You can't get too many days in pads. Obviously, without guys being on the ground. But I think it's invaluable.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, next up, Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye Scoop with Joey Kaufman on deck.
Al, moving Pete to Will after seeing what he was able to do at Sam last year, what gives you the confidence in everybody else that they can pick up the slack that that allowed Pete to do whatever he needed to do last year?
Yeah, I mean, the Sam position for us, I mean, that guy was an inside backer at times, so Pete, we did have a chance to see Pete play in the box last year. And, I think Pete, because he is such a, has a broad skill set, he's a very athletic player, he's smart, he can do all those different things. And I think prior to us getting here, he was an inside backer. I think, he just, we feel confident in him and his experience. And we feel confident about the guys that, like Baron Browning, for example. I feel extremely confident in Baron, and so much of it has to do with the experience they've had up until this point. So, I think the best thing we do is we give our guys experience on, in all areas, man, inside and outside, So I think we're just trying to figure out the best blend at the time of the team we're playing to get the job done that we need to get done. So,
if there wasn't this focus on matchups, do you think he may have just stayed at Sam?
I don't know. I don't know that. It's a good question, Tony. I mean, it's hard to not think about matchups because, that's college football. That's football. It's all about matchups. And it's all about, especially on the defensive side, it's all about putting your players in position to do what they do best. And so, I feel like that is, is that why Pete's inside and outside? No, it's just we think about all these different things going in, and we just know we got really talented players, and we're one of the few positions that had the fortune of experience and depth. So we want to be, we just want to make sure that we're, we're doing the best we can to be creative, not just sit back and say, oh, that's what it is. That's what it was. That's what it's going to be. I think we got, as coaches, myself included, it mostly included, is rethink, just think, we got the guys' experience. Let's see if we can put them in even better position.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch with Spencer Holbrook on deck. Joe?
Al, just to revisit one of the earlier questions as far as how do you practice tackling without pads, and you mentioned some of the drills you guys were able to do to keep fresh and practice some of the fundamentals. Was there a particular drill or any sort of routine that you really liked that you thought maybe kept guys fresh as far as tackling?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a drill. It's it's an open field tackle drill. There's nothing to do with contact. It's more tracking. You got a ball carrier so many yards away from the defender. The defender's going one way, the back's going the other. Then they hit a point in which they turn around. The defender has to locate the back. The back has to use the square to his advantage. And so like that's tackling. And so that's one example of a drill that we can do, that you can do without pads. Other examples are at the end of a drill, specific drill that we may do. We may put, a person at the end of that drill, represent, the ball carrier, and we'll give them a different view. We're big into the views of the ball carrier and how we approach it. It varies based on where you are, based on where the view of the back is to you. So, yeah, you just have to be creative, and you just have to, try to attack, the major elements of tackling that don't involve that. To be honest, I mean, the majority of good tacklers do really good things before that. And then the great tacklers, they just, it's kind of like that's the final piece. But so yeah, those are the types of drills. Those are the types of things that we really focus on throughout the day.
Does it help that it seemed like last offseason it was already emphasized a lot for you guys when you guys came in as a defensive staff? That was a big emphasis, is cleaning that up. Does it help that it was kind of emphasized last year as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it helps. The carryover helps. And I think we have a shared voice in the importance of, proper tackling, so I think it absolutely helps.
And next up, we have Spencer Holbrook from Letterman Row with Dan Hope on deck. Spencer.
Al, you had basically a full offseason with these guys last year, and this offseason's been a little different. You haven't had as much face-to-face time with these guys. But do you feel just more comfortable in the room in year two with all these guys that you have coming back? Like you personally as the coach, do you just feel more comfortable in the room?
Yeah, I feel this whole period is funny. I almost feel closer to the guys. The amount of times you spend through, Zoom or the amount of time you spend on the phone because of the fact that you can't see them is actually, in a way, allowed us to grow closer. And I think to those guys, they've grown closer with each other. And that's my, as odd as that sounds. So, yeah, I feel, I don't want to say comfort is the word because it's not about being comfortable. I feel more aware. I feel like a bond is our bond is stronger, which is very important when you're in those pressure moments. And then you obviously feel like you have a better understanding of, of who each person is, not player, who each person is. So, yeah, I think time, year two, yeah, I mean, I feel more aware, but, we're still on attack mode, we're still focused. So that hasn't changed. But yeah, Spencer, I think to answer your question, yeah, I feel like year two, I feel definitely more aware.
And then along the same lines of just inside the room, Tuff has been a captain for a while now, and it seemed like his leadership is like at a peak. Where has he improved in that? Because it seemed like he couldn't really improve anywhere. He's one of the best leaders on the roster. Where can he still improve as a leader?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think there's two types of leaders. There's some that, a little more quiet, more action-based, and some are more vocal. I think Tuff naturally is more of a reserve guy, more on the action side of things. I think he has challenged himself to be more outward with his leadership style, and he's done that. And he gets, he commands respect from the freshman to the upperclassmen, man. He's always been there. I mean, you're a captain as a sophomore, that's saying something. So I think he's taking that approach, being more vocal, being more, willing to speak up, during practice. If he sees something that's not up to standard, and also taking guys under his wing a little bit more. Younger players that are going through those growing pains. He's one of those guys to pull them aside and kind of give them a different perspective. One from a guy who's done it. So, yeah, he's done a real good job, and he's improving in every way. In fact, I mean, he's can't say enough good things about Tough.
The last set of questions for Coach Washington. We'll go to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Al, for Justin Hilliard, what do you see his role being like this year, and how happy are you that he gets this chance to play this 6th year?
That's one of the best things about playing this season, having a chance to play as a guy like Justin Hilliard, who's been here. I think it's his 6th year, and I see him being a major contributor. I see him being a guy to help us on and off the field. I think he's healthy, which is something that his injuries have plagued him in the past, and I think he's come out of this whole thing stronger. So we're expecting big things out of him, and in leadership as well as one of those major things. And so I'm real excited about Justin and what he's done. And Coach Madison's done a great job, of just continuing to keep him engaged throughout his whole process here.
I'm curious too. The NCAA, made it this year so that nobody loses a year of eligibility. Does that help at all with managing that large group of upperclassmen linebackers you have, knowing that some of them could now get an extra year on the back end?
Yeah, but to be honest with you, the guys don't think that way. I mean, some may, but like this season's on now. Like it's time to play. So I think in the back of their mind, sure. But once they gave us a start date, man, it was kind of like, hey, it's time to roll. So I think everybody's eager. Everybody wants to contribute. So that's what you want. And another young guy I didn't mention, I should have, man, is Tommy Eichenberg. I mean, that guy Tommy Eichenberg, who a year ago was banged up coming in, he's doing a really, really fine job. And so I mean, I think that whole situation is, it is what it is. But I think our focus is really on just, trying to win this Wednesday or Thursday. I don't even know what day it is. I know it's the second day of pads. I can tell you that.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you, Coach, so much.